Hey guys, it's Lindsay, and today I'm going to be talking about what I read in September. So I was actually a little late this month, but I have multiple excuses. Not that you really have to read a certain amount a month or anything like that. I think that's a little intense. It depends on how much time you have and everything like that. But usually I read a little bit more than this, which is okay because I've been watching Gilmore Girls. Obsessed, obviously. This is my first time watching it, and it is the best fall show ever. So if I'm gonna stick that in like a little plug in there, watch Gilmore Girls because it's so good and it's so cute and wholesome and just easy to watch. And I was sick, so I literally sat and watched it for like 5 days straight, like not moving. So I'm pretty deep into it. But let's get into all the books that I read. I think I'm gonna go in order. So like what I read first. So I have a little list here. Let me grab my list. I'm also in a new environment. I'm just gonna babble on before I start. I recently moved my book room around and I am now in a different area within my home. So it looks a little different right now because I didn't want to sit on the floor like I usually do. So I'm in a chair, which is very weird for me because I usually am just like squatting on the floor. Well, not squatting because that's weird. I'm usually like sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor and talking to you guys, and then my legs are numb by the time I get up. So this is a little bit more ideal to actually be in a chair. So you get a little bit of a peek at my other bookshelves that I have going on over here. But let's get into the first book now that I have went on and on about random stuff. So the first book I actually read was on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy of it. But I read the book Bow Before the Elf Queen. I wish I would have written down who it was by. Let me check, because I feel bad, like, not talking about, like, who actually wrote the book, because I don't know, I feel like that's important. You need to know, because you never know if the book's gonna have the same name or not, which is definitely unlikely, but while I'm looking at this, I really liked Bow Before the Elf Queen. I was skeptical, so I didn't know if I was actually gonna like it, but once I got into it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like, it kept you wanting to read more. So like you were like kind of on the edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? I need to know what's gonna happen next. And you're like, there's a really good love interest story, and I just love the like progression throughout the whole novel, and I can't wait for the second one to come out. It comes out super soon, and the way it ended, I am very intrigued to see how they're going to take it because they left you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. And it was written by J.M. Kearl. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Kearl. So kind of like Carl, but with an E. But I really liked it. I just think that like when I find books on like Kindle Unlimited, this might sound like bias or whatever. When I find books like on Kindle Unlimited and I haven't heard a lot about them, typically I'm kind of skeptical about how good they're gonna be. But I did really, really enjoy this book, so I recommend it. It wasn't obviously like my favorite book ever, so I would give it like a rating of like a 4. Because it was really, really good, but it wasn't like the best. There was probably some stuff that I would have changed in it, but I did like that. I liked the characters and I liked everything about it, so I did thoroughly enjoy. So the next one that I read is quite exciting. I read Lightlark by Alex Aster. I think everyone and their mother has heard about this book because it was all over TikTok. It's been promoted forever, and then there was all the drama and everything that went on, and this is probably the book that I wrote the most notes in my reading journal about because there was just a lot to unpack. I know that like the book was getting really bad reviews on Goodreads and everything like that because people were like thoroughly disappointed. Like there wasn't stuff that was supposed to be in it, and there was just like a lot going on. And I can kind of agree. Not even just the fact that I was missing those like pieces that she was like making her TikToks about, because whatever, I know they're trying to bait you into reading it. Obviously, like that's just promotion and that's the way it goes. But I genuinely disliked this book. Even without like looking at what people thought or anything like that, it was really hard for me to read this book. The grammar in it, not like the spelling or anything like that, but like the use of words was really horrible. They used like the same repetitive words over and over and over again, and there was just like nothing unique about it. Like there was nothing like like when you read a book and you hear a name and you're like, oh, like it relates to what they're talking about, or it has like the name has a hidden meaning essentially. Like these were like the most generic, uncreative names I've ever read in my entire life. Like they all are called, like every faction or whatever is called the same thing. So I think most people know what this is about. It's about like a girl who goes to an island and there's like this island appears every 100 years or something like that, and she has to fight like to win whatever, to break her curses. They all have curses. It's really weird and not super thoroughly explained. But she advertised this as being like Hunger Games, but there's no fighting. No one fights at all, ever. It's like, I would say it's more like reading about a government because it's like super like political, but there's never any like actual like battle or fight or anything like that. So like in my opinion, nothing like the Hunger Games. Like this is not even a close comparison. I really liked the Hunger Games when I was younger. This is like not even on the same level. And it has no, like it just doesn't, I cannot find a single way to relate this to Hunger Games. Other than that there's a game every so often. But yeah, I just did not like this book. She used the word thing a lot, and I think that's my biggest pet peeve. She would just like, I can't even explain it. I totally highlighted like a bunch of them because it was driving me insane. Let's see. Oh yeah, and like spoilers for the book. So if you want to like skip ahead 15 seconds, go ahead. The girl doesn't even have the curse. So like she's the only one who isn't cursed, and it doesn't like, you can tell it was definitely just a cheat so that she could like, I don't know, do other things. Oh, there I go using the word things. So here's one sentence. Lightlark was a shining, cliffy thing. What kind of description and adjectives are those? I just like, I think that bothered me the most was trying to read this and like, I don't know if she didn't have an editor or what went on. I don't want to be mean because like I don't even think this is her first book. She wrote like children's books, I think, or something like that. But I just thoroughly disliked this book. I think there were some parts where I was kind of like, okay, maybe I'm starting to get into it, and then nothing would happen and it would just fall flat. So, enough about this book. I'm giving it 1.5 because I want to be nice, but it just genuinely kind of sucked. Moving on, and there's probably going to be a second one. I won't read it. I hope it doesn't blow up on TikTok and like harass this girl more than she probably has already been harassed because of everything that's going on. So hopefully someone enjoyed the book and someone will enjoy the second book, and I wish her the best of luck. The next book that I read, so after that, I feel like there's a common theme that goes on in these videos. When I read a fantasy book that either is one, just really intense, or two, I just really disliked and forced myself to get through, I always go to the romances. So, I read Love at First Sight by Anna E. Collins. This book is adorable. I love everything about this book. It was so cute. It's like just a really easy like read when it comes to like just like a romance, simple. It's lighthearted, but it also has like not darker, but like deeper meanings, and like the characters have good depth. I really enjoyed this. It's like a good, I don't know if you would consider this like a meet cute or enemies to lovers. That's what I'm gonna call this. Even though think of it very loosely of the terms enemies to lovers. But I really liked it. It's about a girl who like her fiance cheats on her, so she cancels her wedding, and long story short, she's buying his next door house next to his. So the house they used to live in together, she's buying it and turning it into an Airbnb, and she wants to make it as gaudy and horrible as she can just to irritate her ex-fiance. But the person she has to work with is someone at the same firm that she works at, and they do not get along very well. So he's an architect and she is an interior designer, and they work together to build this house. It has a lot of good like secrets, and then they discover secrets, and like this girl has a good depth to her. I already said that, but I really liked the main character. I thought her friend is hilarious. I think it's her cousin, is her best friend, but she was so funny, and I just really liked this. And I loved the character development for like the main character girl. She just like has a good like progression throughout the story, and you know there's like hardships that she has to get through, and like I just really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give this one a 4. I liked it. I feel like I probably have ratings written down for these somewhere, but you know, I'm just making them up now after reflectively thinking about it. Now I'm deciding what the rating is instead of referencing what I wrote down when I finished the book. Moving on. Okay, so I'm going to do the next 3 books all in one. I was reading the Percy Jackson series. So we have The Lightning Thief, Sea of Monsters, and The Titan's Curse. And then I have, what's the next one? It's like The Labyrinth or something like that. I have that one over there, which I'm currently reading. It's taken me a while because I've taken a break from it. But these books, they need no explanation. I don't really think I've ever met anyone who hasn't read Percy Jackson. If you haven't, oh, I recommend. They're making it into a TV show on Disney+. I know it's like probably pretty far out from being released. I know they're filming right now. But I read them because I wanted to like, I don't know, be refreshed on them so I can understand like what they changed, what they kept. I love doing that. I think that it's very entertaining and also makes me feel like a critic when I can critique something and what they did differently. The movies for these books were so bad. So I think everyone is hoping for the redemption with the TV show. I guess for anyone who hasn't read Percy Jackson, it's just practically about a bunch of kids who are half gods, half humans, and they go to this camp, and it's about Percy Jackson, and he is like he finds out that they're called half-bloods. Oh my god. They go to this camp, and that's like the only place that they're safe as half-bloods because monsters are after them. So each book is literally just about like a different like quest that they have to go on to, essentially. Like, so each one is them going on a different journey, and it's Percy and his BFFs, which are Annabeth and why did I totally blank on his name? I think it's Grover. No, why do I feel like that's wrong? No, it's Grover, totally. Yeah. And they go on journeys together throughout all the books, and then like the story kind of builds, so you like reference a little bit back to like what happened previously, and then the story builds up until the very end in the last book. So they're very, very good. They're cute. They're definitely like middle grade, I would say. Like I read these in elementary school. So I think I read these when I was in like 4th grade. They're very cute. They're so easy to read. They're simple, quick. They're witty, so they're like funny. They have some good comedy in them. I took a break a little bit, so I'm struggling through the 4th book because I forgot, like, it's so different going from, like, adult books to going to children's books, because, obviously, and it's, like, a little bit, like, you miss the aspects of reading something more mature when you're reading something that's meant for little kids. I do love these books so much with everything in my heart, and I'm totally gonna finish them, but it might just take me a hot minute, which is totally fine. I like reading them in the background, like, when I want something lighthearted, to just like pick it up, and I like remember everything that happened in all these books, so it's not difficult to pick back up in these books. They're really, really good reads, and I recommend them, especially because the TV show is coming out. So read Percy Jackson if you haven't. Even if you're an adult, I don't care what your age is. Read them because they're so cute. And I think these are new covers. They're totally new from when I was a kid, but they're so pretty, and the spines are really pretty, so they look so nice on your bookshelf. They're so cute. So those were the next 3 books that I read, so we just did a big jump there. And then, again, I was sick of reading fantasy and I needed something real. And I've been looking for this book everywhere. It is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I wanted to read this book so bad, and I could not find it. And I would look for it at Barnes & Noble, even though it said it was in stock, and I just don't like talking to employees, so I didn't ask anyone. And I finally found it because it's YA, and her other books are in the romance section, but this one's in the YA section at Barnes & Noble. So that's why I struggled to find it until one day I finally did. And I'm really happy I did. It's super cute. So this is essentially about a girl who is like obsessed with like romance movies and movie scores and stuff like that. And she's like, like wants her life to be essentially like a movie. So she has like the perfect music for everything. This is like a book that if you love looking at like reading books that have modern references, this would totally be it, because it references modern songs. I mean, not necessarily modern movies, but like romance movies, so like even older movies it references. But it has movie references, song references. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you'll definitely like this. I'm not a huge fan of that. I didn't really know that this was going to be like that. Not that it bothered me, because it fit perfect with what like the book was about and the character and everything like that. And it's just about this girl who's like super cute, and her, what is it, like her old neighbor or something like that, or her old neighborhood friend is like moved back to town, and she had always had a crush on him when she was little, so she's like trying to get her perfect romance. So she teams up with her neighbor that she is not like like they used to be friends. Okay, I'm horrible at describing this. It's essentially a fake dating, but they don't really date. They like kind of like the guy acts like he's interested in her. So I would say fake dating. So this is pretty much a fake dating, but like enemies to lovers too, because like the fake dating happens between people who don't like each other. So I really liked it. I thought it was like a good mix of like the referencing and like the how it related to the character. So it wasn't just like it was like shoved in there like modern references, like it actually played back and like you could see why it mattered for the character, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think I read this in literally like a few hours. It's a pretty quick read. I just liked the the guy was super protective and stuff like that. So I really did like this, and I loved the character development of the girl because her mom is like passed away, so she's like trying to essentially like be her mom, but like she can't like move on. So she's struggling to like move on with her life, and that is pretty much another thing that happens to her, as well as the fake dating and all of that stuff. It's really good. I recommend this. It was easy to read. I think I would give it like a 3.5, just for the fact that I'm not a huge fan of like modern referencing. But like even on the back it says like Bridget Jones and Mark Darcy, Harry and Sally, Tom Hanks, and everyone. Like Liz Buxom plus question mark, so that's like the main character. Her name is Liz. But it's cute and I liked it. And at the end they give you a playlist, so I kind of enjoy when they do that because I think it's a cute little touch, and I like listening to music while I read, so I think it's fun. So I would recommend it if you're looking for an easy romance that doesn't have like, there's like no steam or anything like that, because it's YA. So let's see, let me check my list to make sure I'm on track for what I'm talking about. Okay, yes, so I'm on to my final book that I read in September, and this is How It Feels to Float by Helena Fox. This is so beautiful. I have not heard anyone talk about this book. I found it at Barnes & Noble randomly, and I thought the cover was really pretty, so I picked it up, which is typically how I find 99% of my books, is by if I think the cover is pretty. And this story is like, oh, it's so heart-wrenching. It's phenomenal. It's about a young girl who is struggling with her sexuality and mental health, and her father has passed away. So she's like just struggling with family issues and everything like that. And I really liked it. It felt so like raw and real. Like it wasn't just like this fluffy like, oh, there's also like a love interest too. And it's not like, oh, she has mental illness and here's a boy and he saves her and she's all better now. It's like no one can really save her except for herself, and she has to like learn to live with her mental illnesses, and that they're not going to just like go away. and she struggles with like a lot of different types too. So she has like panic attacks. I don't know if it's necessarily that she is like schizophrenic, but it seems like she possibly is, because she like sees her dead father and she like gets into photography and her photos talk to her. So I think that would be referencing to schizophrenia. I could be wrong. I don't remember if they properly diagnose her in the book, because she does see a therapist and everything like that. Um, but it's really nice. Like, it's about her and her struggles at school. She, like, runs away and, like, has all this stuff happen to her, and she's, like, searching for her dad. She wants to find, like, a way for her dad to talk to her, because, like, certain circumstances she sees him, so she's, like, that's all she really cares about. And it definitely is really good at portraying, like, how your mental illnesses affect the other people in your life as well. So, like, her mother and her, like, she has siblings and, like, her friends and stuff like that. So I thought this was super beautifully written. The author, I'm pretty sure, is Australian. So I think that this is set in Australia. I'm almost positive the setting of this book is in Australia. So they use some, like, interesting, like, language and stuff like that, which I really enjoy. I love reading books written from, like, people with, obviously, like, who don't speak, like, I don't even know what to call that. People who are from different countries who have different words for things. I don't know what the terminology for that is. But I really enjoy that, because I love, like, I don't know, I think the US, like, the way that we word things can be kind of bland. And they have, like, the most, like, unique descriptive words, and I just really like it. So I really enjoyed this book. It was, like, at times very hard to read, because, like, it's, like, some tough topics, in my opinion. But I recommend this to anyone, especially, like, I feel like this is a really good book for someone who's younger and maybe in high school struggling with mental illness, because I feel like this gives you, like, something to relate to. Because oftentimes in novels, when you're reading about mental illness, they don't, like, portray it in a way that seems realistic. Like, they usually, like, at the end, it's like, she's all better, and, oh, she's cured. But, like, that's not typically what happens. Like, typically, not always, not everyone's different. So when you have mental illness, and everyone has different types, and you can vary between who you are and what your circumstances are, a lot of people have to live with this for the rest of their life, and it's not just going to go away from medication. Or she also does take medication, so it shows her struggles with, like, the effects of medication and how it makes her feel different. So this is a very good, well-rounded book. It's a little long, so it took me a couple days to read, just for the fact that, like, it was, like, I feel like I had to walk away from it, just because it was, like, really, I don't know, it was, like, heavy topics. Like I said, 8 million times. How much more can I talk about this book? Probably a lot. But I'm going to recommend you read it, and I'm totally going to give it, I'm going to give it a 4.5. The only reason I'm not giving it a 5 is just because of the fact that it was hard to read, but I think that's the purpose. Like, it's supposed to be hard, like a hard topic to read about. So, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And that was all of the books that I read in September. And now into October, which we already are, how many days in? 6 days in. And I am reading lots of horror books, so we should see. I'm having trouble sleeping at night because I'm spooked by all the books I'm reading. So I will be excited to talk about those next month, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you're going to read any of these books, if any of them interested you. I definitely recommend majority of the ones that I read, so let me know down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!